Yeah, here
Oh
we
my
are
God, here
again.
we are.
Absolutely.
We have a great show for you today.
We do. And in fact, we're going to get
Park
right
that
into
horse. Park that horse and get up here.
it. All right, William. There we go.
You know what he just ran into? He ran into our drill next door. Can you believe it? I live 5,600 feet up in the world of beauty and etheric zone. And somebody bought some land next door to us, and they brought this well digger up there, and it looks like a 3-story building. And it's so upsetting. It looks like a monster in the field next to our house, and I just want to cry because it was like a shattering of our force field. We've been up here so long that we have a force field, and I can't even believe how
Well,
this has intruded, and you can just feel it. My chakras are so sensitive to this area because it's so beautiful.
If you're on the deck, is it down to the left or is it up behind you to the right?
It's to the left.
Okay.
You know where the big gorge is that I took you to that one time?
Yes.
You know, that 100-foot drop? It's right
I
in
love
that
gorge
area.
over there. It's right there.
I know. Well, you know what? We lost it. I mean, they're moving in, and oh my God, and they're from New Orleans, so I have no idea what they're going to be like.
Oh, my goodness.
You know? Are we ever going to get a show out
Yeah,
today?
we had opposition getting this show up, and I just got into a coughing fit, which you'll see a cut in the thing. That's what was going on at the time.
Well,
Anyway, you're talking about this guy moving in from what?
What's so interesting about these unfoldment of events of these people moving up here is that on the other side of our house is, like wide open spaces and nobody could ever move over there. And that, in my feng shui, believe it or not, is my good side. Now, my studio is on the east side, so I'm looking at this horrible well digger, and the vibration is like, I can't even, we should take a picture of it and stick it on so everybody can see what I'm talking about. But, that's, even if it's a 1-story house, it's like right in my view. I got to move my studio. I got to go to the other side of our property. Maybe I'll have to.
You're going to have to go pick the
out.
other mountain. You'll have to go over to Immigrant Peak on the opposite side of the valley over there. You'll have to go there.
God, what if they're terrible neighbors? They're, I don't want to.
Well, look at this as an opportunity to balance karma. Maybe they are people that you knew from a past lifetime.
Everything is an opportunity to balance karma. But, I'd like to
Including
have
this
some
show.
karma balanced already and just have some area in my life that's going to go nice. and
Go
smooth.
nice. Well, I hope sometimes the good shows we put out are good karma. So,
Yeah, well, speaking of good karma,
Yes.
Stephen Bannon. We need to talk about that guy, and we need to talk a little bit about what's going on with Trump. Stephen Bannon, I looked at his chart and I just about fell over when I saw it. I love this guy.
So what's the
I
deal on
hope
this chart?
he hears our show so he realizes that all astrologers are totally out in left field. And maybe he'll have us as a part of his news, I hope this guy steps up and opens a broadcasting company.
Really?
I really do. Now, why he left is because there's so many snakes in the grass in the White House, it's not even funny, and it shows in his chart. He has Pluto square Mars, which is the most criminal aspect you can ever have, and he's watching it. He's watching all these dark forces all around him, and I mean, I don't know how he survived this long with the Pluto square Mars, because this isn't just dark forces. This is the deepest and the darkest of the deep state of clearly beyond even here, the giants, the Nephilim. He was dealing with every kind of alien force possibly that can be introduced to one individual, and you can still stay alive.
And that's in his natal chart? In the fourth house?
No, this is in his transits right now. Pluto square
thank
Mars
God
is
it's in transits and not his natal chart.
Well, that's a 2.5-year transit, but what's really cool is, he's in the heart of that now. It lifts. October 21st will be completely done. And between now and then, he picks up all this really good astrology. And one of the astrology configurations is a Uranian astrology, which
Whoa.
Uranus is incredibly full of surprises. So he's up to something in a really, really good way that has to do with his work because it's activating his sixth house of work. And so I think what he's going to do is turn the dark into light and do it in a very unexpected and surprising way. And I cannot wait. He may feel very balanced, once he recovers from the shock of where he's been for the last 6 months. But he may start feeling really balanced really soon here as Saturn is going to sextile his Neptune in October through November.
Well, let me let me just make one comment here. I mean, the fact that he's been where he is doesn't necessarily mean the Trump administration is bad. It means that they are
No.
uncovering all this negativity that's there, and these things are starting to come out of the woodwork. The swamp is
Oh my
starting to
God.
show itself, is what it is.
Oh, yeah. And it probably was very intense for him to put up with it. He has a Scorpio ascendant. So, he has perception par excellence. He's got a strong Scorpio bent. He thinks like a Scorpio. His desires, his attunement, his ability to figure things out. He's like so intuitive. It's amazing. I love this chart. Of course, anybody
Pterodactyls
that's
in the
yeah, we got
background.
pterodactyls in the background.
Okay.
The rainforest birds, our macaws, are visiting their twins. There's two of them. And whenever they hear my voice, they love my voice, contrary to other people around me.
You have a
So they
wonderful
hear my voice,
voice.
they go crazy. They go crazy. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I love Steve Bannon's chart, and I don't mean to be all over the place in the realm of describing this man's attunement. And no wonder people were thrilled when Trump put him on his team. The problem is that he probably told Trump who the bad guys were, and that meant that President Trump was going to have to do something about it. And he probably tried to do something about it and ran right smack into the head honcho of the, Dr. Strangelove, the one that actually controls everything.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. Oh, you mean George Soros? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Oh, I think it's bigger than George Soros. He may be a billionaire and he may be showing off with his little ability to get a few teenagers out there rioting, but he's not everything, I mean, I think even Jeff Bezos from Amazon has more money than George Soros, and he's a globalist too. So these are all one worlders. In other words, they want the Doctor Strangelove story, where there's just one guy controlling everything, and you just answer to him. So he's got control of all the nations. He's got control of all the war machines, the warmongers. He is because he is a warmonger, whoever this is. And this could be somebody from another planet. This could be Nephilim oriented. Now that's pretty scary stuff. Talking about stuff like that, I don't even believe myself when I say it, but I've had so many people tell me. And I look at the universe because I study the universe. There are many planets out there. There are many places to go. So it makes sense that there's other life out there. And we're not the only ones, So, and some of those other lives could be bad guys. They say that Earth is the nexus to the galactic Armageddon. Now, can you think about that sentence I just said?
Oh,
The
well,
nexus.
I'm totally on the same page. I've been studying much of the same things you have for the last 30 years, so I understand that. This planet is crossroads. So as the planet Earth goes,
It's like a glorified Star Wars bar.
It is.
Did you ever see that movie, in the bar where, oh God, every shape and creature and yuck. It's like, oh my God, I just want to go home to my,
see, and that's the thing.
to the great central sun of being,
That's a lot of people don't understand that. They think, well, everybody on the planet, you have to love everybody. Well, yeah, you do, but the problem is not everybody's going to love you back. I mean,
And furthermore, they might not have anything internally
to
to
be able to
receive
love
your
with.
love.
Yeah, to receive it or
So-
to even give it. So,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So no threefold flame, no fire, no spark. And you got to have a spark to have been created by God. If you don't have the spark, you're mechanization man, you're a robot. And you're created by man. So, if you know what I mean, the human condition is amazingly confusing.
very good.
But today, the moon is in Scorpio, so we can get deep, and Stephen Bannon is the perfect chart to do with the Scorpio vibration that his chart emanates. I mean, again, in Scorpio ascendant, he looks intense, he looks deep, he seems quiet and reserved, maybe even almost shy. He might be a little shy when he gets around people who are, he knows they're bad guys and he knows he doesn't have the full ability to control them. But I tell you what, he'll go around and find out a way to expose them. So he's got a great gift here of attunement and a great gift of being able to get below the surface and find the dirt and show and expose the dirt. And he's got the guts to do it for the most part. Although I bet $100 there were some bad guys that threatened him while he was there. And it was the best for everybody aboard for him to step back with that Pluto square Mars. I mean, he just got the raw end of the stick here, now. But I think it's a chess game, and I think they may have used this to their advantage. They've got, some stuff up their sleeves. So it's Steve Bannon's move. This is a great chess game, and he's got the astrology to make it a good move. What I would like to do is pull up Steve Bannon's chart along with Donald Trump's chart. And you can do what's called a composite or a relationship situation and see what the energy is between the two people and see where it is going forward. I like to do this with anybody that I'm making a plan with. If I've got their time, date, and place of birth, and I'm going to be interacting with them in the future, I sort of look at it to see how it might unfold. Now, relationship charts only work if you're interacting with each other. If you're not interacting, then they don't really do much. But you can determine if you're going to get the job. You can determine if that person likes you in the interview. You can determine if they're being real with you or not. You can determine if they're have any future hope of, being a part of your life. And what may unfold if you are interacting together. You can actually see the plan, or and how it'll work between the two of you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I would
Now,
add to that Gene does that for marriage relationships or partnerships. So if you have anybody that you want to check that out, Gene does a great job with those kind of interactions.
Oh, that sounds like a
It was.
ad.
It was a very shameless attempt at a commercial. So there we go.
Well, what I want to say to you is that it's between two people it can be like a marriage. And when I look at Donald Trump and Steve Bannon together,
She's looking. Dun, dun, dun.
So why don't you talk to us for a minute so I can get this
Talk
together?
to us for a minute. Composite charts. Composite charts and synastry between two people. It's an interesting thing. You can do this between yourself and a corporation. You could do this between you and whatever, as long as you have time, date, and birth information, location for these other things. This is stuff that I've been working with for many years as well. So I like to take a look at any kind of a relationship like this and make a decision on whether or not there's some kind of problems. You can usually find them in the chart and put spiritual work to it to undo it. So, absolutely.
Well, I love the chart between Donald and Stephen. They are real friends. They are action oriented. They do not sit around and just twiddle their thumbs when they get together. Every planet they own is in what's called the 11th house, the Aquarian house. The Aquarian house
kidding.
rules the whole community at large, the huge picture, everybody. So this relationship is an absolute affecting of every single person. All of us are affected by the friendship between Donald and Stephen if it gets, you. Now, occasionally they look at each other and go, oh, God, where are we going? It's like a slow boat to China. And they've got a lot of enemies. When they come together, they attract people who want to Libra enter. The moon is in Libra, who want to take them out, or want to be troublemakers and not be diplomat. God, my mouth isn't working. It's the green tea. Diplomacy. They've got open enemies. The Dems, the Democrats, are not being diplomatic. They're.
Or I want to add
They
to
probably
that.
have.
Or those globalists that are also Republicans. It's that same kind of energy. It doesn't matter what political party or affiliation they have, but for the most part, the Democratic affiliation has been in alignment with the globalists.
Well, what's really interesting about this chart is just last week, in the last 2 weeks, Uranus would have been activated, and that squares the ascendant. And the ascendant is the physical relationship. So this a sudden change in the relationship shows up in the composite by the planet Uranus. But these two people, when they're together, President Donald Trump and Stephen Bannon, they can get into the details and they can analyze. And then, of course, then they nitpick and whine at each other to try to figure out what to do. And then they possibly could get stressed about it. But in all reality, they have a very great combination here to do something about it. So it's almost like they're the, superheroes. If they were allowed to do what was really in their hearts and minds to do, they could change the course of this globalist agenda. And when I say globalist agenda, I mean a one world government where all nations report to one person or one
entity or
set of circumstances or however you want to call it. And so, what a powerful, powerful combination, Donald Trump and Steve Bannon. So, as I look at the transits of the composite, transits are, moving the planets forward and seeing, what kind of interaction may take place between the two. The first thing I see is that Neptune is trying the midheaven between these two people. So that means there's an unseen situation going on that is very, very positive between the two. So I do believe they are still friends. And now Saturn is trying Jupiter between the two, which means they're making some good business deals. And again, who knows what those are because it's between Donald and Stephen, and this is coming out of a composite. And it's the third house. So my guess is this has something to do with the media. It's activating in the third house. So, whether it be there, you start a broadcasting company or he goes back to the newspaper, which I think he has he did do that as far as I understand. But they may send out, some real news for a change. Now, there is some bad timing going on between them. Saturn is squaring Mars until October, so in October that lifts. But it just might be that, that was all the interference. They tried to get things done. Stephen and President Trump probably talked about things that were great ideas, but everybody got in the way. Saturn square Mars is the block, the authority figures that come in and block, or the people that, my dad used to say that the squeaky wheel always gets the grease, I'm beginning to doubt that because I've been squeaking really loud at a particular entity in my neighborhood, and they're not giving me the time of day. I've asked them 10 times, and they're not stepping up to the plate.
Well,
but anyway,
one comment, just
that
one
being
comment.
said,
All you have to
right,
do
right.
is sometimes if the wheel is making a noise and you think that that's the issue, look at the chain that goes backwards, and if you direct your energy into that, then you'll be able to undo it. It's not necessarily the sound; it could be something behind it. So especially with Moon and Scorpio right now, there's always a hidden cause. So somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting that President Donald Trump's chart and Stephen Bannon's chart totally line up with America's chart in the sense of, again, more broadcasting. This news media, I tell you what, they control the world in the sense that they can make or break civil war. They are being used as a tool to divide and conquer the nation, getting one brother pitted against another brother, getting people fighting, even in their own families. The kids are socialists because of the universities that are, they go in conservative and come out socialist, and then they don't like their parents anymore because their parents are Trumpsters or whatever. So it gets the war going. It gets the engine moving to create a civil war or some problem. The way to conquer this is to go into the media and stop their drama and start telling the truth to everyone. And so I believe that that's what they're up to at some level. Now, I'm making that prediction very comfortably. I may get a phone call from them and say, "Why are you telling everybody this is our secret?" But I'm kidding.
But the phone call would be
part
nice.
of it. Oh, I love the phone call, and I would love to be personally involved in showing the cycles of the win here, because there is a win. What's really interesting in President Trump's chart and Stephen's chart in 2018, they pick up a Pluto trine Mars. Now, what I told you, Stephen
Ooh.
left the White House under a Pluto square. They come together. They have a Pluto trine Mars next year, which means they're making progress, huge progress. And they got the dragon by the tail, and they're swinging him around. The funny little scaly tails those dragons have.
Okay.
And, Steven's got a squirt bottle, and what he's doing is squirting the fire out of that dragon's mouth. Because the dragon, the beast, is the news. The news can make or break war by the word. The word, think about it, the word created all life. In the beginning, it was the word. Sound influences matter. How you say it to someone influences what they're going to do.
And we have
I
talked
mean,
about this in many shows that people have got to understand that the message that they're getting is not exactly what they think. Even their
truth.
analysis of the problem is coming from sources that are also controlled. So they think they're
I
doing
know,
right,
it's
or they think they're getting the right information,
subliminal.
and it ain't. Oh, I mean, the first time that we started making contact with this and finding out really what was going on, talk about a paradigm shift. That was something else. So
Well, the thing is realize, if everybody could just realize what is being said to them, how much of it and how many times is it said to you? When you say something over and over again, pretty much you start believing it, because basically it's a way of programming yourself. When you go with the Mercury rules the mind. Mercury is the planet that rules, what the thinking processes are about. And so that's why we have so many kids, wanting to tear down the Confederate statues and not even thinking about the fact that there was history. This did happen, by the way. There were slaves. It doesn't mean that we want to be that way now. It's just remembering the record and giving, it's like 9/11. We're not going and tearing down the buildings again just because we had a 9/11, right? Maybe that doesn't make any sense, but
guaranteed there's
you might.
monuments there. There's monuments, all over the place for these
Yeah,
events
it's
and
like
things that have
it's
happened.
just history. Why are we giving it a story? I'll tell you why. Because George Soros hates America, and our history and everything that we stand for. And so this is just another way. Let's just, tear down the history
And how do
then.
you know that he hates America? Because you've actually looked at his chart, even though we haven't had a show about it. We've actually
Well,
looked at it.
he's not even American. I don't think he's from Hungary.
Yeah, exactly.
He's had a really rough life. And I
God
want to
help us.
save the planet. I want to save the planet. And you know what? When you do things honorably, when you stay in your heart, when you, do things to be your brother's keeper, when you love a nation, when you try to feed the people in the nation, when you do all the things that have to do with presenting freedom, freedom for the individual to progress and become, his own mighty power for the greater good. I think that that's exactly what President Donald Trump in his own way is trying to do, and I think that that's what Stephen Bannon is about. Stephen Bannon has a great gift of perception par excellence. His perception is right on the money, and I'm just so impressed with his chart. That doesn't mean doesn't have his stress days, but I tell you, the combination of President Trump and Stephen, if they were allowed to do what they could do together, whoa, it would be big. It would be so big, and it would put some of these fellows who don't have the right moral and honorable, idea for America. I think even some of the Democrats have been brainwashed to think that some of these not truths are really true, and so that's why they get so frazzled. They listen to the media too. They're being programmed and indoctrinated just as much. Who is the money behind the media? Who owns the media? And what is their agenda? So look behind the things that you don't see on the surface. Go underneath, and that's what Stephen Bannon does, I believe, with all that Scorpio. Scorpios are the great researchers and the scientists of the world. So, ask me questions about him.
Which one, Bannon? Okay.
Any of them. Anything
All
you
right.
want to know here, ask
So,
me.
so let me ask. Okay, so we get the impression now, basically, that Steve Bannon and Donald Trump potentially have some kind of some kind of a game plan they have a positive agenda that hasn't been brought
They
out
could
yet.
have, if they interact with each other, they remember a composite chart only works if you interact.
All right.
Okay.
So then by the fact that you're even bringing that to our attention multiple times, could that possibly mean, for example, that there is something in the chart that would keep them from interacting with each other?
No, no,
Opposition
there
to it.
is nothing. No. If they decide to interact, good things will come from it. Unfortunately, in moments, we have that fear factor, and all of us need to get mastery over that because the fear is the root of every psychological problem. And what's there to really fear? Ultimately, the worst thing that can happen to you is you die. There's no such thing as death. You just reincarnate. You stand before the lords of karma, the spiritual hierarchy of this planet, the bosses, the big boss, and you review your life, like Defending Your Life with that great movie with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks, even though I don't like Meryl Streep anymore because she's mean and she said terrible things that made her look silly,
Okay.
just plain silly,
Yeah.
you know.
And
I'm talking.
let me add to that. Yes, you can reincarnate, assuming that you don't get aborted on the way in. So yes.
Well, even if you get a, yeah, aborted is pretty serious simply because you have your time, your date, your place of birth, that you need that planetary alignment. I don't know if you need the planetary alignment, but you want to roll back the planetary alignment. This is schoolroom Earth. You want to balance your karma. The planets kind of stir up your karma, basically. But, yeah, you go back and you tell your story. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Now you got to go back and repeat it again, like Groundhog Day, that movie. It's a true story. So, why not play by what your heart tells you is the right thing to do? Find the good in each other, except for those that are wandering around on our planets that are robots. There's so much to say here, and I say these flippant comments, many times because I've studied this stuff so deep. It's just second nature to say, the robots, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about, robots?" No, people don't realize there are people wandering around on this planet that have no insides. They don't have any hearts, they don't have any accountability, and they want to take everybody down. Why do they want to take everybody down? We live in a gravitational pull. It's easier to go down than up. It's easier to cry than it is to laugh. Yet, do the opposite. Laugh. Go where the light is. Go where it's lighter, higher on the mountain. Get out of the lie. And the big lie is coming from our media.
It's also a place where you have to direct the spiritual energy, and unfortunately, we'd like to talk about all the positive things all the time. You gotta kind of have to understand how it got there, because that's how you kind of direct the spiritual energy into that, so that it doesn't happen again. So yeah, there's a lot. We're gonna have to come up with some shows here to describe, what happens with various different races, and the fact that we even have been here before in vast civilizations, going through these tests
In
again,
Atlantis,
and technology and
in
new
Atlant,
and yes,
in lost continents of our past, we had civil disorder that it's like history is repeating itself again. The
yep,
Atlantis went down because of the decadence of the people. The people decided to let go of their moral compass, and they grabbed a hold of. It's kind of like it became a glorified Woodstock. If you know what I mean by
yes,
that.
yeah, that's exactly
Millions
kind
of
of
people were.
what's been happening.
Yeah, and that's oh gosh, I think about this. When everybody went to see the eclipse in Oregon, there were 1 million people over there in Bend, Oregon. And I knew some people that went to it from my clientele. And they were telling me that, literally, people were running around with no clothes on. They were on drugs. They were just like crazed. Just,
Oh God.
it's like, I just had this vision of Atlantis, the same thing happening. People, we got to get it together because we're going to sink this country if we don't. We're going to sink it. You want to do it again? You want to go drown? You want the Noah's Ark thing? You want to do this? No, you don't. You want to go up higher this time. We want to bring in a great golden age. The only way to bring in that great golden age, the age where we are our brother's keeper, where we care about each other, where we take the time to listen, when we take the time to make the effort to show someone else you know, that kind gesture, we're going to lose this planet again. And reincarnation happens over and over. Aren't you tired of drooling the oatmeal down your chin and wearing diapers? Come on. You want to graduate. There is a whole galaxy of high planets, higher vibration planets, planets that are at a different frequency than us, a different dimension than us, wonderful places to go. We can't go there until we earn it. And you earn it through what you do, through your heart. And if you don't have a heart, you can actually earn one.
Anytime you're embodiment, there's no such thing as you still have opportunity.
Opportunity, no matter, even if you're a robot, you have opportunity. If you started serving mankind like with all the love of your heart and the desire to truly, sincerely want someone else's life to be better than
or
yours.
Even if you don't have the initiative to love, act as if to try to prime that pump, and then that will be given unto you at that point.
Practice makes perfect.
That's it. Exactly.
Just a little bit. You just have to do it a little bit, guys.
Well, let me ask you another question. Let me ask you a question about this. This intrigues me. Again, I go back to the U.S. chart. Do you see a defeat of these forces working through the media?
Defeat happens because of free will choice. I can see really high, amazing astrologies, just like President Donald Trump and Steve Bannon. The choices that they make along the way determine whether they're going to take the high road or the low road. Even if it's great astrology, you can make a free will choice. Your free will choice is oh my God, that's the great gift you have. You can do whatever you want, and the universe will never interfere with those choices. However, there are consequences. So if you walk away from this great plan, you will find, that basically you're going to have to come back again and be given the opportunity to, now, wait a minute. I should stop right there. You get your opportunity so many times. You reincarnate so many times. But there is a time where the court of the sacred fire happens. The court of the sacred fire is the final, what's called the second death, where your soul gets
reabsorbed into the all identity is wiped and you reabsorb back,
and the energy is remolded into a brand new character that is not you.
That's right. We know of some instances
kind of recycled.
We know of some instances where some individuals, because of the amount of karma that they've made, have gone through that process.
I can tell you for a fact that Adolf Hitler went to his second death.
Correct.
He will never, ever, he's gone. There's no such thing as Adolf Hitler anymore. So you can at least rest assured. But now we've got copycats. And some of those copycats come through the globalists. They come through the evil forces. They come through aliens. They come through, oh my God, this is kind of scary stuff. So let's not even go here. I don't like to talk about stuff like this. Archangel Michael. Make friends with Archangel Michael. Make sure that he is in your life every day, because there's some really crazy stuff going on out there.
What I would like to do, though, is put the thought out there for our viewing and listening audience that if you would like to know more of this understanding, let us know. And we'll go ahead and, as painful as it is, talk more about it. Yeah, we don't want to. We don't like to get too much involved in it. However, we do understand a lot of these circumstances and situations, and so we can do that. So please send us your questions. Absolutely. And we'll answer them.
And, there isn't, in all of reality, there's no such thing as evil. Evil is not real, and its appearance has no power. It's an illusion. But the illusion is set up perfectly with you in mind to help you to practice using your free will choice properly and taking the higher road rather than the lower road.
Now, I do want to say something about evil, which is it's a combination of energy veil, evil. So what that is yes, there is no such thing. I mean, evil is not really real. It's a creation of some force. But while it exists, it does have a charge, and you don't want to be standing in the way of it. So it's kind of like, for those who saw the movie The Matrix, I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Matrix, where you had Neo was actually standing there with the bad guys that were down the end of a hallway, and they're shooting a gun at him. And so he was actually able to take that energy, and if you knew anything about the Matrix, he was actually able to finally see the fact that those bullets were not really real, and that it was the figment or the creation of his imagination that made it real. So until you're to the point, such as Peter on the water when he was starting to sink, recognizing
Right.
not keeping the concept that the water is just a manifestation of energy as well, and keeping his eye on the Christ, and he lost the vision of that Christ and started to sink, and Christ had to pull him back up out again. It was the understanding of the energy veil. So it's
Well, the
it's a similar
Christ,
kind of thing.
yeah. The
So
Christ is just the good.
where are you going to put your
Focusing
attention?
on the good.
But
Yeah.
while our attention is still not purified and not where it needs to be, that energy is going to have it's going to have a charge to it, and it's kind of like a battery. You're going to stick your fingers on two terminals of a battery and get zapped. That's what will happen with this. But if you have to be above it in consciousness, so don't let it hit
And it
you.
is energy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It is energy. The biggest thing, if everybody just realized they're walking, talking antennas, and you have four lower bodies. You have your physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual or inspired body. And energy is constantly moving through there, and you conduct it. You're like this great conductor of, amazement. And this energy goes there, and this energy goes out there because you sent it there.
Right.
And then also energy comes at you, and you conduct that as well. How are you going to handle it? If you don't react to the negative energy, guess what? You
Yeah.
pass your test.
The fact that you will magnetize even your own returning karma back to you is because we have untransmuted substance that's energetic in our own four lower bodies, specifically the astral body, and other bodies where that karma will come back. So it's as if you are wearing a magnet around your neck. And if you can think of the karma as returning metal, big pieces, little pieces, dust, finest stuff, and it's as if that's being thrown at you. So depending on how big that magnet is going to determine how much of that sticks to you. So the key is to take the spiritual energy and reduce the size of the magnet, and that way you can transmute that energy when it comes to you. And that was also told by Jesus when he basically said, "The prince of this world cometh and find nothing in me." He had transmuted all his karma from his past
Or cleaned up
lifetime
his house.
and cleaned up his house.
house.
So it was there. He was in it,
Temple.
but not of
Body.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's our goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
we can do the same thing. So that's attacking the issues that we have, and some of us have really deep issues, and in various different areas of our lives, and that's where the mercy comes in. We have opportunity to balance that karma out using the via the flame, using our spiritual tools, and work and service.
Well, the one thing is throughout the day you get 24 hours. So, you could be walking along and you could just say, you know what, Archangel Michael, will you please bind and do it now every negative force on this planetary body? Will you seal and protect the children from the pedophiles? Will you seal and protect the child that's aborting in the womb from getting, aborted? Now, you could just make these little fiats all day long, when you think about it. And just a little bit of good energy, that little bit of ask does amazing things to change the molecular structure of the planet and the cycle that it may be going in if we don't ourselves stand up and use the science of sound to turn back and roll back negative matter. This is schoolroom earth. You are in kindergarten. You've got to learn how to work with energy. That's the first lesson. How do you work with energy? What is energy? You don't think of it as energy. You think of it as solid physical matter, but it's so much more than that.
Very good. Excellent. So we see a victory potentially coming with Steve Bannon and
Oh, well,
Donald Trump.
that's his choice. I mean, I would love to have a conversation with this man, Steve Bannon. So, if you hear our show, Stephen, give us a call, please.
absolutely.
I just scratched the surface. There's some amazing things that could take place here, if you understand the energy that's working through your world and the opportunity you're being given. So, William, is the horsey coming?
That's a lot of stuff, Gene.
I know.
Yeah, the horsey's coming. So, wow, thank you. That's quite a bit to chew on and quite a bit to talk about. So let's just do it. Tools to do it. Gene, how can they get in touch with you? We do love you.
We love you. We love you.
406-599-3934. Give Gene a call. Look at this. I got it down now. prophecyisgiven.com. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us. God bless everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Let Jean do an astrology consultation for you, your family, or your friends. Go to astrologyjeanhart.com or give her a call or text her at 1-406-599-3934. There are powerful spiritual tools available to help you deal with planetary and personal challenges, and these can be found at prophecyisgiven.com. And be sure to visit our website at thetrekupwardradioshow.com or stop by on Facebook at www.facebook.com/trekupward, and be sure to hit like on our page, or visit YouTube and search for the Trek Upward Radio Show. Be sure to subscribe so you do not miss another episode of the Trek Upward Radio Show. The Trek Upward Radio Show is a studio at 5,600 feet production.